Have you ever wondered what really separates people who achieve their potential from those who just don't? Well, according to psychologist Carol Dweck, it often comes down to one single, simple belief. And spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with your talent, your IQ, or even your luck. It's all about your mindset. You know, this quote from sociologist Benjamin Barber just nails it. It's not about being weak or strong. It's about being a learner or a non-learner. So what makes someone fall into one camp over the other? Well, as we're about to see, it's not some built-in feature you're born with. It's actually a choice, a perspective that puts you on one of two very, very different paths in life. So let's get into this world, divided by learners and non-learners, because it all really comes down to one core belief we have about ourselves, just one. But it's a belief that ends up guiding a huge part of our lives. So this is what Dweck calls a mindset. It's not just a mood or a passing thought. It's this deep-seated view you have about yourself that affects, well, pretty much everything. How you handle success, how you deal with failure, what you think about effort. In fact, a lot of what we might call personality really just grows out of this one fundamental mindset. And that core belief, it basically splits us into two big groups. It creates these two totally different mindsets that shape how we respond to everything life throws at us. So let's break them down. We've got the fixed mindset, and we've got the growth mindset. Okay, let's really dig into this, because this is the heart of the whole idea. If you have a fixed mindset, you believe your abilities are just fixed, they're static. What you've got is what you've got, and because of that, you tend to avoid challenges, right? Because what if you fail? It might just expose your limits. Effort feels like a bad sign. I mean, if you were a true natural, you wouldn't have to try so hard. But the growth mindset is the total opposite. It's the belief that your abilities can be developed. And that simple shift changes everything. You start to embrace challenges. Effort becomes the only way to get better. Criticism isn't an insult, it's useful information. And when other people succeed, that's not a threat, it's an inspiration.
So how does this actually look in the real world? Well, check out this study. At a university in Hong Kong, all the classes are taught in English. So they identified students who weren't quite fluent and offered them a free course to get their skills up to speed. It's a pretty straightforward choice, right? You either take the help or you don't. And you won't believe how cleanly the students split right down mindset lines.
The students with a growth mindset, they jumped on it. For them, it was a no-brainer. Wait, there's a chance to get better? Of course I'm in. But the students with a fixed mindset? They mostly said no. Why on earth would they do that? Because signing up would mean admitting they had a weakness. And to protect the idea that they were already smart, they chose to become non-learners, even when it put their entire college education at risk. Crazy, right?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Let's see how these mindsets show up under pressure. Because it's when things get tough, when we face real failure and challenge, that the differences become crystal clear.
Just think about it for yourself for a second. When you really fail at something that matters to you, what's your gut reaction? Does that failure feel like a final verdict on who you are, a label? Or is it just a problem, something to figure out and learn from? Your honest answer to that question tells you a lot about your own mindset.
I mean, just look at the difference between these two sports legends. You had John McEnroe, an unbelievable talent, but totally stuck in a fixed mindset. Whenever he lost, it was never his fault. He'd blame the crowd, a fever, the press, anything but himself. Failure was a personal attack on his natural gift. And then you have Michael Jordan. He completely reframed failure. It wasn't the end of the story, it was a crucial part of the process. Every single loss, every missed game-winning shot was just data. It was fuel. It was the very thing that made him a champion.
The legendary coach John Wooden put it perfectly. Making a mistake, losing a game, that's just an event. It happens. You're still in the game, still learning. But the second you start pointing fingers and making excuses, that's when you turn that event into a failure. That's when you've given up.
So, where do these mindsets even come from? Are we just born one way or the other? The research is super clear on this. Absolutely not. Mindsets are learned. And one of the biggest ways we learn them, especially when we're young, is through the kind of praise we get. Seriously, this is one of the most important takeaways, especially if you're a parent, a teacher, a manager, anyone who leads people. The specific words we use when someone does well can either build a strong, resilient growth mindset, or they can create a fragile, defensive, fixed one. And the difference is so subtle. Here's the key. Praise the process, not the person or the trait. When we say things like, "You're so smart," or "You're such a natural,"
We're sending a hidden message, and that message is, you have this special gift, so you better not do anything to lose it. It makes people terrified of challenges that might expose them as not being a genius after all. But when we praise the process, wow, you worked so hard on that, or I love the strategy you used, we teach them that success comes from action and effort. It tells them that challenges aren't things to fear, they're the very things that make you grow.
Okay, so this all leads to the biggest, most hopeful question of all. Are we just stuck with the mindset we've got? And the answer is a huge, resounding no. This is the most empowering part of this entire idea, because these mindsets are learned, they can also be changed. I know it sounds almost too simple, but it's such a profound truth. A mindset can feel like it's a permanent part of who you are, but at the end of the day, it's just a belief. It's an interpretation of the world. And while it's a powerful one, it's not set in stone. You actually have the power to change your mind.
So how do you actually do it? Dweck gives us a really clear 4-step guide. Step 1, just start noticing and listening for your fixed mindset voice. You know the one. It's the one that says, don't try that, you'll probably fail and look stupid. Or, this is too hard, I'm just not good at it. Step 2, as soon as you hear it, recognize that you have a choice. You don't have to believe it. Step 3, actively talk back to that voice with a growth mindset voice. Tell yourself, okay, I might not get it right away, but I can definitely learn. Or, if I don't even try, I'm guaranteed to fail. And finally, step 4, this is the most important one. You have to take the growth mindset action. Embrace that challenge you were scared of. Keep going when you hit a roadblock. Actually listen to the feedback.
So, in the end, it really all comes down to this. When you look back at your life one day, what do you want to be able to say? Do you want to say, I could have done great things, but I was afraid to risk failure? Or do you want to be able to look back and say, you know what? I stretched myself, I learned, I gave it everything I had for the things that matter to me. The path you end up on isn't decided by your talent, it's decided by the mindset you choose to bring with you on the journey.